And welcome to Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya. And now more than ever, I'm Jeff Koinange. Now all this week, if you've been watching Capital Talk, you know we're talking to the young ones, the young MPs, my generation and even younger. They're smart, they're brilliant, they're educated, and they're actually getting some work done in the august house, even though you don't notice it. Believe it or not, they are working. And they are no doubt the future. My guest today, another one. I tell you, they keep coming. Only 41 years old. And you can say he's third time lucky. He tried for MP in Mukurweini in 97, in 02, finally got it in 07, defeating then powerful Minister Mutahi Kagwe. Not only that, let's go back a little bit, where he was a student leader at the University of Nairobi. They were extremely effective in making changes in the universities that are still present to this day. He used to go by the name, and this you probably don't know, Godfrey Mwangi Kariuki. Later changed his name simply to Kabando wa Kabando. He is the Assistant Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, and he's from Mukurweini and making changes along with a whole generation of his fellow university students. My guest, Kabando wa Kabando.
Hey, good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well done, man.
Asante sana.
I love that name. I mean, I know a lot of our viewers right now have no idea. You used to go by the name Godfrey Mwangi Kariuki.
Yes.
Why change it?
First is that I went through a process of realization when I joined Odaya Boys for my secondary education. A lot of young people are compelled to take English names on the simple misunderstanding that you'll be favored more while joining Form 1, because a lot of our secondary schools are Christian sponsored in our area, and therefore we take names without consciously searching to know the origin of the name and to identify that name, to own it. So I took the name Godfrey when I was in Standard 6, and it's a name that I harvested from the best friend of my dad. You know, that's okay. Then the second name, Karaoke. In my community, if you are karaoke or jockey, if you are lady, girl, you are jockey. If you are male, you are karaoke or morioki. It's a resurrection name. So anybody called karaoke or jockey must have another name, original name. Karaoke is normally given to children who are reborn. When a child dies, in order to appease the spirits and to circumvent the bad omen, you give another name so that the spirit will have difficulty touching the reborn kid. The name Mwangi, the surname, in my community, there are three main age groups. That is Mwangi, Reka, then Maina, and Irongo. So the original name of my dad is Kenda. Kenda meaning 9, as of the 9 main clans. And so my original 3 names had a superficial basis, and I needed to emphasize on my roots. As Marcus Garvey would say, from Jamaica, a people without a culture are like a tree without roots. That's why we talk about family roots, the family tree, and therefore the name Kabando, the name of my grandfather, which is unique and special, needed re-emphasis. And so I took the name Kabando to emphasize that I belong to that clan, that those are the main roots.
Fascinating, fascinating. I love it. Okay, so let's go back to your student leader days. Before we come back to modern day politics, your student leader days, because very recently, I think last weekend, riots at Kenyatta University, agitation in other universities. What is going on in our university system today that's compelling these students to start burning and rioting?
It's very unfortunate, and I had an occasion recently to talk about this publicly, and 3 weeks ago we had an event at the University of Nairobi and interacted deeply with the student union leaders. I think there's miscommunication. There is a communication breakdown between the university administrations and the student leadership. Over the years, we have seen, for instance, the student organization of Nairobi University engaging in a lot of positive work, doing programs that are community touching, and doing leadership training programs, and even bursary allocations from the Akiti, in a way that befits changed leadership at the universities. Unfortunately, in the recent past, all the good work that has been done since the year 2003 seems to be going down the drain because of some misunderstanding instigated by issues that sometimes don't have much to do with the university itself. For instance, the riot at the university because of the murder of the Oscar Foundation and their former student leader, and subsequent shooting of a student within the university grounds. Again, that's a matter that could have been handled amicably with the dialogue. The recent chaos at Kenyatta University. Yesterday I spoke to the officials, and I hope they will be seeing me in the next 1 or 2 days, because we need to get to the root of this matter, see the cause of the discontent, and the solution is to dialogue with the administration. In the old days, of course, there was a repression and the criminalization of student leadership. A lot of student leaders were either jailed or killed or expelled, and that came to an end in the year 2002 with the change of the regime, where the president ceased to be the chancellor of the university. The university council was competitively selected. The vice chancellors of the universities are competitively recruited from the job market, and where the student unions became part and parcel of the university senate. So this has been a trend that was very encouraging, from public universities to private universities, even the other tertiary colleges, and even in secondary schools, like the examples in Starehe, the student governing body, the prefect governance program, which has been replicated in other secondary schools. But again, you saw what happened last year with the chaos in the secondary schools. It's a question of communication, and I think suffocated discontent that needs to be unveiled. We need to remove the lid in order for this smoke to get out, and we go to put off the fire.
Yeah. Yes. Well, let me ask you a question, and I want to play devil's advocate here. Yes. What these students are seeing from the secondary schools to the universities is probably what they're seeing at the next level. There's a vacuum in leadership at the very top, and they're trying to, like you MPs, are trying to agitate for some kind of leadership where there is none. Students are trying to get some kind of guidance and leadership, and they're not getting through. Maybe that's what they're seeing. They're just trying to imitate what they see at the national level.
That's true. For instance, what happened last year after the elections, even before the elections, even in the countdown to the 2005 November referendum on the Constitution, the hate speeches, the perpetration of violence, the balkanization of our communities, regionalization of politics. These are issues that will impact on the behavior and activities of our young people. They have also seen that you get things done when you go to public protests, when you demonstrate. They have seen it among teachers. Yeah, they have seen it among politicians.
Everyone wants haki yetu.
Yeah, haki yetu, haki yetu. Yeah. They have seen it within a religious sector. They have seen it everywhere. They have seen people fighting in church because of leadership, either banning them or really locking out and even throwing stones to priests and so on and so forth. This society is rotten in the area of leadership. And though the responsibility lies at the top, because in 2003, we saw Kenyans preventing corruption on the roads. We saw Kenyans plucking out administrators who were perceived to be involved in graft. We also saw celebration of ministers who are courageous to directly pinpoint issues that needed to be corrected. Over time, impunity has been entrenched. Impunity in graft, impunity in violence, in a negative ethnicity. We have seen a lack of taking responsibility for our growing nation. And this has the potential to poison and cause disharmony among our young people. We also have seen over time the balkanization of our education system, where young people are only admitted to schools within their districts and only coming to connect with the rest of our diversity, that is our nationalities, ethnic nationalities, while they are joining universities. So we have shrunk to a level that needs to be changed. And I think this is a problem.
At the same time, and that's, you bring up some very good points, Mweshimiwa, we've come out of the worst violence in more than half a century.
Yes.
It's going to take so long to heal, and that, you know, hopefully we will at some point, whether it takes a generation or 2 generations. But for now, the most dangerous thing I find, and I don't know if you agree or not, is that now we're trying to sugarcoat or cover up what happened last year by now forming what we call false alliances. Alliances cannot work right now while people on the ground are hurting.
It's true. Quite unfortunate. And what we in political leadership need to know is that there's no demarcation of poverty in this country, and that the agitation to bring fairness and equity is national, is even regional. We spill over to Arusha, the headquarters of the East African community. The efforts to cause ethnic alliances will come to nil. They don't harvest from the feelings of the people on the ground. There is discontent with us, the political class. There is also discontent with us in the political regime current. We are conscious of that. I don't think the way to handle and resolve these matters is by rushing to your ethnic group, proclaiming partnership with another ethnic group, because in any case, a lot of these young people here are either intermarried, friends to other nationals, not even Kenya, and the narrow agenda of saying that this community will be in partnership with this other community in a bid to capture political power, or to say that this particular individual will work with this other fellow ethnic baron in order to achieve monopoly or attain success in a competitive political environment. All these are narrow issues that have no space in the 21st century, in a generation of young people who cost 68% of the previous parliament to go home, and who in 2012 will number 12 million. That's the generation between 18 years and 35. These are critical masses that will easily curtail the short-term politics of survival, which some of us seem to be captivated on. And therefore, I think it is easy to proclaim, shout, even cause that this group is speaking on behalf of the other. The other day I saw some group saying that they are speaking on our behalf. Yeah, I'm a member of parliament from Mukurweini, and some people are saying they are speaking on my behalf on the cause of political direction to take. The people of Mukurweini have no idea about those things that are being said. Even the people of the constituencies where some of those MPs come from don't have any idea. They are not speaking on behalf of anybody. I think what we need is to cause a coalition of issues to replicate what the founding fathers of this nation did. In the countdown to independence, we saw coalitions, we have read about it in history, of selfless individuals who put down their lives, who put down their careers in order to come and serve this nation.
Mweshimiwa, I want to talk more about that. I think that's a very important point that you bring up. In other words, how does your generation now, the 40s generation, How do you wrest power now? The power has to be, not handed down to you, but you have to now take control of it because there's a vacuum. How do you do that? And also, the Grand Coalition, will it last till 2012 in your opinion? But first, we'll take a break. I told you it was going to be a week of the young MPs. And if we're talking about the future of Kenya, how about this born leader right here? That's right, former student university leader, third time lucky in Parliament, Assistant Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, powerful MP from Mukurweini, and he's only 41 years old. Those of you who thought that there was a leadership vacuum for the future, think again. They're on the bench this week, so don't even think of going away. Capital Talk is back in a moment. Welcome back to Capital Talk. All this week, it's all about the young MPs. We've talked to a couple in their 30s and a couple in their 40s. And I tell you, future looks a lot better than a lot of you may think, because these young men are young, smart, educated, and they have country first rather than community first. And across the board, they're all singing from the same hymn book. Like my guest today, Member of Parliament from Mukurweini. He's also Assistant Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports. Changed his name a while ago from, I can't even pronounce the first name, but simply goes by the name KABANDO. So Mheshimiwa, you raised some very important points, and the future of this nation is literally in your hands. You and this generation in the late 30s and early 40s, you're going to have to take the mantle of this country, because we are mortgaging our children's futures. Every time I look at my 20-year-old son, I say, or 20-month-old son, I say, what is his future? And it's you guys. If you guys don't do it, we'll end up with a DJ as president.
Well, easily, it is going to be possible to effect change through parliament and also non-parliamentary channels. One is to ensure that we cause a coalition of issues, as I said, identify the core issues that need to be resolved, issues of governance within parliament itself, which is happening gradually, also issues at the national level. The constitutional reform is one issue. The adherence to the existing law is another. We have the Public Officers Ethics Act that clearly stipulates that if you are a member of parliament, a government minister, or a public official, if identified or caught in corruption issues or misappropriation of your responsibilities as a public official, there is a route, and it's very narrow, and you cannot escape it. You need to step aside, you need to be audited, and if found irresponsible, of course, the cause of law would mean that you face the court and you are judged. The second is to ensure that we avoid involvement in activities that demoralize and that cause demotivation of the young people of this country. And some of these activities are the ethnic, the tribal groupings that have been convened variously. And also the limitation of we as members of parliament to perceive our national responsibilities. When you're in parliament, you are in the National Assembly. You are not in your district or your constituency. Therefore, we need programs that will engage us in all parts of this country, visiting other areas, involving ourselves in development initiatives, in speaking engagements, because what is largely lacking is inspiration. A lot of young people in this country know what they want, they know what they need, and a lot of them, sitting with them in their groups through the Ministry of Youth and even other forums, they can identify solutions to their problems.
I'm going to play devil's advocate again, Mheshimiwa, and ask you this. Is the presidency that important for the next round? Is that seat that important? And the reason I'm asking is, does it have to be Uhuru, or Ruto or Martha Karua or Raila or Kalonzo? Does it have to be the usual 5 suspects? Or can someone like yourself or Peter Kenneth, like yesterday I spoke to him, someone like that who has a proven record in their constituencies, can that person rise up in a country like this, or does it have to be a brand name?
I think we are, from the past election, general election, a lot of civic leaders were elected without brand names. A lot of members of parliament came on small parties. They came on independent platforms and found their way in the decision-making organs. 2012 is near, yet too far. Near because we have so much to do that the remaining 3 years and 9 months may not be sufficient for us to engage in activities that create diversions. So it's very near. We have so much that we need to conclude and put on the table so that we can show. And then we raise our flag of victory, that this is what we did in the time that we served. Therefore, we seek renewal. Otherwise, the public will say, we terminate your contract. It is too far for us to cause alliances based on the ambition for 2012 presidency. Kenyans do have a president and they do have a prime minister. And there's a, downtrend pecking order to the grassroots. What we need now are programs that will ensure that public institutions are accountable to the people. What we see, there's so much attention to the political class and the political power. There's even too much focus on the failures of politicians. But last week, I went through a list enumerated on a basis of failure. Public institutions that have failed to account for resources allocated by the public. Billions of shillings. And therefore, there are major governance issues that need to be put right. From the lowest level of a public school to the highest level of the public university, even the private enterprise. What are we doing with the workers in the plantations? Are they on the new labor laws? Are they on legal contracts? What are we doing about the employees in the hospitality sector? What are we doing about Kenyans, young Kenyans working in the construction industry? Are they on legal contracts that can sustain planning for their individual lives? What are we doing in our philanthropic organizations? Have we put governance structures that will allow institutionalization of leadership in those organizations? Or is it the personalization of leadership, that if this individual leaves, the organization comes down? So these are the issues that we need to put right, so that both the public and the private resources can be accounted for, can be audited, and that can be sustained for the benefit of the consumer, of the services of those organizations, and also for the employees who derive their livelihood and the livelihood of their families from employment in those organizations. These are the issues that we need to emphasize. As we talk about a constitution, we need to ask about the basic law. Are we complying on the basic law? And are we benefiting the public on issues of governance? Do our institutions that benefit from infrastructural development allocations in schools, in the churches, are we accounting for the resources derived from the local communities? Are we replicating our philanthropy in a way that will make the local communities abide by our spirit and by our issues? So these are issues, Jeff, that need emphasis, because when we see enumerated lists of companies that have failed, and all we hear is the managing director or the board being terminated, but the issues recur 1 year later. So it's a circus which needs to be brought to an end.
Speaking of circus, Mheshimiwa, do you think the day will come when it doesn't, regardless of who's president and prime minister, the country will still be able to move on, the economy will still grow, and employment will still, be in effect? Do you think that day will come? Like South Africa coming up, they have an election later this month.
Yes.
And even if Jacob Zuma is elected, economy is still strong, country still moves on. Will there come a time in Kenya?
That is coming, and I think the fact that we remained, despite the destruction of lives, the manders of last year, which is really unfortunate. We did not need to go there. The waste of nearly over 100 billion Kenya shillings, by very conservative estimates, of wealth destroyed because of a dispute of presidential elections. The fact that wherever I go, last week I had opportunity to go to 9 constituencies in Western Kenya, and in the next 2 months we'll be going to other areas to talk to people because they belong to this family called Kenya, and also to connect with other leaders who want us to move in the direction of empowering a campaign that will address the basic issues of the public, rather than only the macro issues at the national level, which is a dominating current. To go down, empower leadership, to go down, create motivation and inspiration among the people. That time is coming. And I also think that time has come through non-political leadership. In the constituencies, the sentiments of the local leaders, the church leaders, the imams, the positions of our community development committees from the sublocation all the way to the constituencies, is almost unanimous that we need to put our house in order. And therefore, this is a statement that is shared from north all the way to the coast, from Busia all the way to Gabatura. It is a statement of you public officials need to put your house in order, because we as Kenyans did go to the poll, innocently cast our ballots in favor of this or the other candidate, but that is over now. We have a grand coalition which must sustain to 2012. We also have an assembly which, though questioned and even discredited because of the issues to do with the allowances, taxation of MPs, allowances, and so on and so forth. We have the local authorities with the local authority transfer fund, which must impact on local development. We have the constituency development fund, which must be a fund that will bring a major impact on the local communities by way of minimizing the fundraising, the harambes among people who are already suffering from lack of food. And a lot of stress on education of their children and health issues and so on and so forth. I think that time has come. It's only that it is not implemented at the national level. But the implementation to the national level will be a trickle-up effect, not trickle-down, trickle-up effect. And I think we only have the obligation to abide by the public sentiment.
Kenya Renaissance, I like that, Mheshimiwa. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Yeah,
and keep fighting.
Yeah,
keep
I wish
fighting.
you the very best.
Thank
you very much.
He's only 41 years old, but speaks like a man so much older and wiser. What a man. Good grief. He says sacrifices have to be made. That's the bottom line. It's nothing personal. If this grand coalition is to last to 2012, it has to be done. KABANDO wa KABANDO, a born leader, no doubt, former student leader at the University of Nairobi. Now he's agitating in the 10th Parliament, and he's not even stopping there. At such a young age, this is the generation that's no doubt the future of Kenya. What a guest, what a show. We've been telling you what a week it's been on Capital Talk. Cannot get these kinds of guests anywhere else but on Capital Talk only, on the award-winning station, A24, where we are all Kenyan.
All the time.
Capital Talk is recorded at the Fairview Hotel, the country hotel in town.